Kia ora, I'm Lucy. I'm a registered dietitian.
Hi, I'm Eve and I'm an Appetite for Life facilitator.
Kia ora, I'm Chris. I'm the coordinator for the Appetite for Life program.
Together we're the Appetite for Life team at Pegasus Health. Today I'm going to talk about having a healthy relationship with food and the importance of cooking.
And I will show you this amazing curry recipe.
And I'm going to talk about the Appetite for Life program and also a little bit about our Senor Chef program.
Alright, let's get to it. The science is in. Diets don't work. You might drop a few kilos initially, but for most people, dieting doesn't result in permanent weight loss. It just damages our self-esteem and our self-image. Our hunger and fullness cues get all messed up and your hormones kick in, make you want to eat more, and food even seems to taste better. It gets harder to resist. Metabolism slows down, and mainly we just get really obsessed with every calorie and just damage our relationship to our own body and to food. So if diets don't work, what does? Shifting the focus from weight to well-being. This isn't about looking good or being good. It's about how you feel. It's about feeling good. If you lose weight, if that's right for your body, and it might not be, that's just a side effect of your gain in health and well-being. We can ditch the guilt. Leave this idea of good foods and bad foods behind. Telling ourselves we aren't allowed a certain food just makes us crave it even more. So let's let go of all those food rules. Now you might go a little bit crazy at first. That's normal. But having biscuits for breakfast, lunch and dinner gets really old really fast. And over time, things will just naturally settle down. Let's just listen to our bodies. If we truly listen, then we start noticing what foods make us feel good and what foods might not make us feel so good. And over time, we naturally start feeding ourselves more nourishing foods. Which leads me into cooking. I encourage everyone to eat anything they want, but if you can, cook it yourself. Now, you don't need to be Gordon Ramsay or some fancy master chef. Home cooking doesn't need to be fancy. We just want to prepare simple food to share with our friends and family. Now, cooking at home, we all know leads to healthier eating, and obviously it's cheaper than eating out or getting takeaways. But it also gives families a sense of control over their own food supply. It boosts our feelings of creativity and happiness. For teenagers, it makes them more independent. And for kids, getting them in the kitchen makes them more likely to eat their veggies at the dinner table. Now you might wonder where to start when it comes to cooking. Just pick something really simple that you think you'll really enjoy. Read the whole recipe through, get everything you need, and get started. Now Eva's going to show us a really simple curry recipe that will be perfect.
Here's Eve again, and I will take you through this curry recipe. So this curry recipe is really flexible and you can really just use anything from your pantry and what's available from your fridge. Let's get started.
So here's the curry recipe, and today I will be using carrots, capsicum and mushroom, as well as some frozen peas. Feel free to pause the screen so you can have a read on the recipe. So here's a hot pot with some oil. I'm adding the onion to fry it. As the onion becomes soft and brown and caramelized, and adding the curry paste or curry powder in a splash of water to help the curry powder or paste to dissolve, and give it a stir. Add the carrots in my case, or any other hard vegetables, and I also added a little bit pepper or salt to give it the flavor, and add the remaining vegetables, also the coconut milk, and give it a stir occasionally. And then after about 10 minutes, you should have your curry ready. Voila, here's the finished curry, and we're going to have it with some brown rice today.
I hope you enjoyed the cooking with me, and at the end of the day it will never be a bad curry anyways. And I will now hand to Chris. She will introduce you about our programs.
Hi there, Chris again. So I'm going to talk firstly to you about our Appetite for Life program. So our Appetite for Life program is a 6-week program. It's run for 2 hours a week, and the venues are pretty much all over Canterbury. We hold them in different places depending on where the need is. The program itself is fantastic. The feedback's been awesome that we get, and a lot of that's just been around small subtle changes that people have made for themselves and also for their families. So the program and its content now is we talk about why diets don't actually work, and as Lucy said, there's a whole lot of reasons around why people diet, but fundamentally they don't work. We also talk about things like why we eat, why we need to eat, and what we should eat, which also leads on to what's actually in our food. If we cook from home, you'll get to know exactly what you're putting into your meals and things like that. So we encourage people to look at actually cooking from home and starting from the basics and the ground up. The other thing, just leading on from that, is how we eat. We talk about mindful eating, but it's actually what we're doing while we're eating. And that might be just some subtle stuff like actually stopping, sitting down at a table with your partner, with your friends, with your children, and that sort of social interaction. The other thing is the staying motivated. That's probably the hardest thing that most of us find the most difficult, is making sure that we keep the momentum that we've built while we've actually been doing the course. So like I mentioned, I think earlier, it is a 6-week course. It runs for 2 hours a week. You have 2 facilitators. One of the facilitators is there also to do the food tasting. You get an amazing buffet of different things to taste, which also reinforces the messages that we've talked about in that actual session. And the other thing is you get some really great resources to take home. A book with all the information about the topics that you've covered, recipes in the back and things like that. So fantastic. So I do encourage you to consider doing Appetite for Life. You'll learn lots of things that will help yourself and your family. The second program I'm going to talk about is our Senor Chef program. Senor Chef is slightly different. It's more towards our older age group, so if you're 55 plus Māori Pacific, or if you're 60 plus our other ethnicities. The course itself is really for people that have lost the confidence to cook. And if you live by yourself or with one other, it's an amazing program to get you back into the socialising aspect, the hands-on stuff. There are some recipes that are talked about, and you actually sit down and make the food together, sit down and actually eat and share the food together, and also it has a really good educational sort of component to it as well, which is really geared towards the us as we age and where we're all going. So as we get older, the things that we need to actually eat that are slightly different from when we're younger, and certainly when we're teenagers and in our youth. So another fantastic program, runs for 8 weeks, usually run during the day, and it runs for 3 hours just to get all of those different components in. So another fantastic program, Senor Chef. So if you're somebody wanting a little bit more confidence in cooking and want to meet some people, some fantastic people, another really fantastic program you can do. See you there.